In this video, I'd like to talk about some of my mapping app experiences. I'm going to briefly talk about Drone Deploy, Pix4D for Android, Pix4D for the iOS, and Map Palette. First, let's talk about Drone Deploy. It has an online mission setup, which is excellent for setting up ahead of time. You get to set it up on your desktop and have it available for whatever phone or tablet you want, which can be very helpful in case something fails. It does show KML files, and has Android and iOS versions. But I was notified that it won't be covering my iPad Mini 4 with any updates anymore. Bad part is there's no camera angle adjustment, but honestly I've only had one job that required anything other than straight down. Now let's talk about Pix4D for Android a little bit. It's easy to set up and use, and it shows KML files. But there's no split between the forward and side overlaps, which means you're going to be flying more than necessary for a given requirement. It's got multiple battery support, but only for grids. That's basically useless, since when you reduce the edges of an area to whatever's necessary for large areas. Otherwise, you're going to overfly it 2 or 3 times and probably be required to overfly moving vehicles. Now, I'm no Apple fanboy, but I've also had at least 4 times when 2 different Android platforms failed while I was mapping very large areas. First shows up as stuttering or missing return data from the UAV, and you may be surprised when the controller starts beeping for low battery voltage. That can kind of be a surprise. So now let's talk about Pix4D for the iOS. It's good, it's steady, dependable. It's actually the one that I prefer using. It has all the setup parameters you could want except for showing KML files. That's kind of bad because some customers want to verify how you use the outline they give you before you fly it. The key for me is it's always been stable, especially for multiple battery flights when I really don't want anything to go wrong. Let's talk about Map Palette for a second. Map Palette's a paid app, and it has everything in the setup department that you could ever want, including linear flights, which are very important for pipeline inspections and electrical power line inspections. It does have its peculiarities, though. One of them is you have to set up the camera. If you're going to set up a camera angle, you have to set it up after the drone is already connected to the app. And that's the last time I really want to be setting stuff up, is when I'm ready to take off. The biggest problem I have with it, though, is its active connect mode. It's kind of difficult to use, and it's the default one. You have to maintain a 90% signal connection to the craft at all times, which is difficult, especially if the craft is working near your physical position. I still haven't figured out how to keep the antennas aligned to do that. Recently I had one job with all types of holes near to where I was standing in the map. If I ever figure out how to deal with the connection, though, this is probably the app that I would deal with, because it has everything. If you have a small area to map, or aren't given any parameters that you have to specifically meet, then go ahead and use any of the apps. If not, though, you need to carefully pick your app and get fully familiar with it before you get on site. Even then, though, have backup plans, because these apps aren't documented all that well.